Hi everyone and welcome back to my channel. So for today's video, we're going to discuss about one of the topics under English language teaching approaches and methods, which is the CLIL, or what we call content and language integrated learning. So we'll be proceeding in terms of what is the approach all about and how are you going to apply it in language classroom. So let us proceed. So when we talk about content and language integrated learning, this is basically integrated in terms of from the theories of David Marsh in 1994. Basically, this is looking into language immersion and content-based instruction. So what's the difference of CBI to CLIL? CBI is basically utilizing content-based in terms of its instruction without really looking into the language focus. On the other hand, when we talk about content and language integrated learning, meaning there's a focus of between or the combination of content itself and language focus within the language classroom. So we'll be proceeding. So once again, this is an approach created in 1994 by David Marsh as a methodology similar to but distinct from language immersion and content-based instruction. So this is an approach for learning content through an additional language focus, particularly foreign or second language. So teaching both the subject or the content itself and the language itself. So when we talk about language immersion, this is a method or an approach that the students are taught the language focus while being immersed into different contents within the second language, utilizing second language. So we try to identify what are the differences of the definitions of each word that are attached with CLIL. So what do you mean by CLIL? CLIL meaning content, which is the topic or subject being utilized within a certain text or being utilized as a strategy within um, or a springboard. And then after that, you try to use the language focus for the practice goals of, giving the use of content within the language teaching classroom. And then the integrated meaning the fusion or combination of both content and language goals. And then therefore, the fusion of content and the language being integrative in the language classroom. Therefore, there is a thinking of and developing the language learning within the classroom. So once again, that is CLIL. Now let's try to look and explore CLIL in the language classroom. So when we talk about content and language integrated learning or CLIL, this is a dual focus of educational approach between the language teaching or the language focus in terms of having or utilizing the content itself while integrating the language focus within. So it has dual aims or dual focus. One, for the content, which is about the subject matter. On the other hand, you try to look also into the language focus, meaning if there is a grammar focus or other, language competencies that you integrate within the content. So when we talk about CLIL, this is an approach for language teaching and learning. So content and language integrated learning means that students learn new content at the same time they are learning a new language. So again, the content itself is utilized while they are learning the English language through its focus. Now, let's proceed with the 5 fundamental dimensions of the CLIL. So, what are the 5 fundamental dimensions of CLIL? This contains culture, content, environment, and then language and learning. Basically, the culture and content are utilized as a springboard or utilized as a text or utilized as a strategy in putting the language itself inside the culture and content, meaning the culture, the content are integrated in the learning material or instructional material that are being utilized by the language teachers for the language teaching and learning process of our students. So if you're going to look at some instructional materials, there are stories of Marinduque or stories of any other culture, or beliefs that are integrated within the text, or they try to use the springboard of a certain culture and then try to utilize it for them to learn other topics, and then after that trying to use adjectives, nouns, verbs within the culture and content. So this culture, content, and environment, it enhances students learning in terms of those three: the content, the culture, and the environment, while they are trying to learn the language focus, meaning they are developing their oral communication skills, improving the target language competence, and deepen their awareness of the use of the target language that they are trying to learn, and develop lingual interest and attitude while they are learning culture, content, and environment. So once again, those are the five fundamental dimensions or of characteristics of CLIL. Now, what are the features of CLIL? So the features of CLIL is basically are the following, which are the multiple focus, meaning they try to integrate several subjects while they are learning the language itself. Another, it is safe and enriching learning environment. They try to use authentic materials, making a regular connection with language and content. So what do you mean by authentic? These are real-time stories that happened way back before and now. So it is authentic. It is in a real life connection or real life related topics. So another one is active learning. Fourth one is scaffolding, meaning it's step by step. Learners try to understand it in a step-by-step process, and then there is a cooperation or collaboration within the language classroom. So these are the core of the CLIL. They try to use reflecting practices, cooperating for program, talking through planned learning and progress with students, making it real. Students are engaged, they are stretched with thinking, managing the affective side of learning because they try to put reflection within. Like for example, understanding about environment, understanding about culture, or understanding other contents while they are learning the language focus, and they try to manage language through oral competence while they are learning the other topics. So these are the benefits of CLIL. One, it improves language competence and oral communication. Second, it develops multilingual interest and attitude. Third, it provides opportunities to study content in different perspective while understanding other language focus. And then it allows learners more contact with the target language and does not require extra teaching hours because they require a systematic process of language learning. They complement other subjects while learning other topics about or competence or a certain language focus. It is very diversified method because at the classroom practice. And another one is it increases learners' motivation and confidence. Why? Because the target interest of or the target topic interest of the students are being utilized here at CLIL because those topic interests are being utilized while they are learning the language focus. And of course, they develop higher order thinking skills since they are looking into learning other contents while there's language focus. And it builds intercultural knowledge and understanding because knowing the roots, going beyond the target language is really or create bridges and connection. And of course, they develop intercultural communication skills. So the core of the CLIL is basically more of trying to make an effective language teaching or effective language learning process among the students. So these are the issues in CLIL. Since in CLIL, you need to be very particular with the topic or the issues that you are trying to present to the students. So some of them can be a little biased, or some of them can be somewhat degrading for our students, especially you are catering to multicultural setting. So you need to look into the specific issues that is applicable and appropriate among our students. Second, you need to integrate subject or content and language. Third, you need materials of content. Fourth, you need to have a training about how CLIL works in it. And then Fifth is it's about teachers' confidence and collaboration. Teachers' confidence meaning you need to be confident of the content that you're about to discuss. So meaning you need to be knowledgeable about it and collaborate with other experts so that it's easy for you to present it and utilize it in your language classroom. And of course, the sixth one is since it's a testing and assessment between content and then the language, you really need to work hand in hand in terms of looking at true content and knowledge. All right. So I guess that would be all about CLIL. Again, CLIL and CBI, content-based instruction, they are a little similar, but they are different because under CBI, you just focus on the content itself while they are learning the language. On the other hand, when we talk about CLIL, there is a content and then there is a language focus. Can you follow? So if you have any more questions, let me know into our GC and at the same time, try to comment examples of these activities of CLIL when they are applied and implemented into the language classroom. Thank you very much, everyone. Maraming salamat. Ma'am, she go na.